Okay, as promised in the beginning of this whole e-learning thing, I told you I would show you guys some of my travels, places we went right before all of this craziness started. So at the beginning of spring break, we actually shot a wedding in New Hampshire. So this was just a photo from the wedding that we took. And then some ducks flew by, so of course we had to get a shot of those guys. And then after New Hampshire, we went to Arizona. We got to see Horseshoe Bend in real life, which was really cool. To be able to see it in real life. It's massive. It's way bigger than this photo even makes it look. It's crazy. And then we did a shoot in Arizona. So here's a picture from that one. And then we went to Utah. I've always wanted to go to Utah. So we went for the first time and it was beautiful. One of the most beautiful places I've ever been. This buffalo was literally right next to our car, so I didn't zoom in on this photo or anything. He was like right there, and there were just wild buffalo or wild bison. They're not buffalo, they're bison. Wild bison everywhere, and it was so cool because you could literally drive right next to them and they just kind of minded their own business and didn't care if you were right there. So this was kind of a cool thing to see. And this was on Antelope Island, which is where we got our photos done. I'll show you some of our photos in a second. But this is a shoot we did in Utah. So this was an engagement shoot we did out in Utah, and the landscape was just incredible. Like everywhere you looked, there was something different. Like over on this side were the big snow-capped mountains. Here's some more littler mountains. And then there was right over the horizon here, there was like this Great Salt Lake. So that's what this picture is. Oops, not that one. What this one is, right at sunset there. So we got some pictures right on the water, which was incredible. Here's another one. And another one. And then this was earlier in the day in Utah of the couple we did their engagement photos for. And then we actually, my husband surprised me with a photo shoot for us because we haven't gotten our photos taken since we got married over 3 years ago. So it's been a long time since we've been on the other side of the camera, but there's a story behind this photo shoot and why my husband surprised me with it. So here are some photos. I'll just kind of go through them and go through the story. My husband didn't get photos from our proposal, which was just kind of like, I mean, obviously we still got engaged and got married, so in the long run it was fine, but I had always wanted photos from the proposal, so he actually re-proposed, even though we're already married and have been for over 3 years, but he re-proposed with a wedding band because for those of you that don't know, you have an engagement ring, which is what the guy proposes with, and then you get a wedding band to go with your engagement ring on your wedding day. But I could never find a wedding band that I liked to go with my engagement ring. So I've had my engagement ring for 4.5 years or whatever now, ever since Eddie proposed the first time. And just went without a wedding band. But people would always ask me, they're like, oh, did you just get engaged? And I'd be like, no, I've actually been married for like 3.5 years. So I figured it was time for a wedding band. So I started looking for one last year and saw one that I really liked. And little did I know, Eddie bought it right away. And kept it hidden for almost a year because he had been talking to a photographer that I had been following for a long time. So even though we do wedding photos, there's a photographer out there that I've looked up to for a long time and started following her before she was ever a big thing. And now she has like over 80,000 followers or something like that on Instagram. Like, she's incredible. So he had been talking to her for a long time since he bought the ring last year, and he had been planning this whole thing for like over 2 years. And because he always knew he wanted to re-propose with a wedding band since we didn't get photos from our first proposal. So that's why he surprised me with this shoot in Utah with my all-time favorite photographer. So that's what these photos are. So this is when he started reading the note, and I was just like so surprised because I did not see it coming at all. Here's another photo. And then here is what the wedding band looks like. So this is my engagement ring, which I've had for a while, ever since he proposed the first time. And this was the wedding band that he surprised me with just a couple of weeks ago. I guess it was like a month ago now. And then some more photos. and this was still on Antelope Island. Antelope Island was incredible. Like I said, there was just different landscape features everywhere you turned. It was so, so cool. Probably my favorite place I've ever been to for photos. Just some more pictures. But I promised you guys I'd share them with you, so here you go. And we got a bunch more, but I figured I'd just share a couple of them with you guys. So those were our travels and what we did over spring break before we had to come home for all this quarantine stuff. So it was a long, long road trip. We flew out to New Hampshire and then flew to Arizona, but then road tripped from Arizona all the way back to Minnesota. So it was a very, very long but really, really fun photography trip.